Welcome everybody to Shadows of Doubt, a role-playing game set in a dystopian 20th century in which you roleplay as a man being a detective and certainly solving lots of mysteries and crimes and not breaking into any houses or stealing anything. Now that we have our setting in place, let's just get right on into it, shall we? Welcome to Douglas, a city of about 700 people. And meet our hero, Squib Bogan, a homeless, retired private eye ready to make some changes to his very busy work schedule. Mr. Bogan immediately headed for the town hall to look for some work because, as it turns out, committing nefarious actions is quite difficult without any money or equipment. We settled on a photography job in which I would just have to take a picture of somebody. Not creepy at all. Picture I was given for information on the case led me here to Warren Street to get more information on my target. I ended up finding the briefcase full of information right in front of my stupid fucking face because I'm blind apparently. Picking up the briefcase and opening it, we got some good information. Our employer was nice enough to include their phone number, which is extremely useful because this more or less means that I can just find out where they live. I promise you, I can be trusted with this. I will not abuse my power. I will not go out of my way to do bad things to this person. Upon gathering this information, we hoofed it back to the town hall as fast as possible. Because, above all else, we need one important thing for this job. Lockpicks. Upon arriving at the town hall, however, I realized something. We had no money to buy the lockpicks. Upon realizing this, I did what any self-respecting detective would do. I started stealing money from the town hall so that I could afford lockpicks from the town hall. Obviously, my target here ended up being the medical ward, and more specifically, the doctor who worked in said medical ward. As soon as I got all the cameras off, I headed into the doctor's office to see what I could find to ransack. Luckily, I ended up coming across a few lockpicks and just enough money to buy a handful of lockpicking kits. We came out of the medical ward, purchased a few lockpicking kits, then we headed over the... Chutman! I cannot stand this shit! Then we headed next door over to the diner so that we could get to work on tracking this person down. Now I imagine you're probably wondering what the diner has to do with tracking a person down, because it really doesn't make any sense. Well, it actually does make sense. You see, we got a phone number from our employer. What we can do with this phone number is we can call it. I know, shocking revelation. But most of the time when you call somebody in this game, they don't pick up the phone. So what you can do is you can use the calling records from public phones to locate where the call is being sent to. This is where the lockpicks come in, because usually to access previous call records you have to enter a secure area in the back of the building. On our way to go check these logs, however, we got an alert. Our killer had finally struck for the first time. It was time to get our hands dirty, figure out what kind of maniac we're dealing with. Not including ourselves, obviously. Immediately I put the photography case on hold so that I could focus on the real case. I quickly checked my map to find the location of the murder. That way I could quickly go over and gather some clues before the enforcers could get there. Unfortunately, on my way out of the town hall, I ran into a group of enforcers that were likely heading in the direction of the murder, and they were in quite a hurry, so we needed to be faster. We had arrived on the ground floor of Arthur House. The murder took place on the 11th floor, so up we go. Reaching the 11th floor, we were greeted by a closed security gate. Reasonable, considering a murder had just taken place. I tried to find a way around it, and as you can probably guess, this didn't really lead to anything. I kind of just walked around and waited for it to open. After we got into the area, I decided that it would be best to close the security gate behind me. I figured there was no crime scene, the door was still locked, everything was pointing to me being the first ones there. I didn't see the enforcers get here before me, so I figured I was the first one here. That was an incorrect assumption. Since I was able to tank a bullet and also run down the stairs faster than this enforcer, I was able to get away. And I also used the distance that the enforcer gained while chasing me against him as I went back up with the elevator to inspect the crime scene before he could make it back. Getting into the room, we found the body and it didn't look good. It looks like the killer struck this person in their sleep. And they were smart about it too. They didn't leave us anything except for a shell of buckshot and something written on the wall that I couldn't really read. Now I'd like to take a second to interject here because I am very curious how this person got a shotgun into the building, broke into this person's apartment, fired said shotgun in the building, killed a person, got out of their apartment, and left the building without being heard or questioned. Enough questioning weird game happenings. Back at the crime scene, I started to inspect our victim, get wounds, time of death, anything that could be useful in building a profile for our killer. Patterns are key, or so I'm told. So any pattern that I can identify in the victims is very important. Now, I searched all around that apartment, and I didn't find anything. Not even a fingerprint. I tried to investigate a lead using the camera systems so that maybe I could catch the killer on camera and have a picture, but I couldn't find a camera station, and it took me a painful amount of time to realize that the camera station I'm trying to break into in this clip is connected to a restaurant on the outside of the building and not the indoor cameras. But anyway, we literally have nothing to go off of with this killer. So it's back to small side jobs so that we can earn a bit of money to hopefully make this a bit easier. Now back to the photography case, I actually did get the building that our target lives in. Christensen Projects. All that's left now is for me to check the caller logs in that building so we can identify exactly what apartment our target lives in. Well, shit. While trying to access the caller logs in the back room, I accidentally tripped a recon laser while trying to sabotage the other one. This activated the ceiling-mounted turrets in the entire building, and they were all aiming for me. So needless to say, we will be back to that case in a bit. However, while I was just digging around waiting for the turrets to be disabled, this happened. This time, our murderer had killed right in the middle of the street in broad daylight. I'm starting to question the competency of these enforcers. Arriving on scene, I started the usual song and dance, taking fingerprints and checking for any useful information on the body, when I suddenly discovered this little balled up piece of paper on the ground. Initially, I was confused at what this might be, but after looking at it for a minute, I realized the killer was just spelling out their name for me, adding one letter to it with every kill. This was easily the biggest breakthrough of the case, and for those of you that are thinking that I should be looking for clues or for patterns in the murders to solve this mystery, I say to that, did not ask. After reading through the city directory for about 10 minutes, I had finally found a match for the murderer's name. And it... Wait, is that... Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh no, oh...
Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Upon realizing that our murderer was in fact the first Elden Lord, I started to panic a little bit because I realized that my katana build was not finished, and we definitely don't possess the firepower currently to take him down. Nevertheless, I must continue to pursue this murder, so onward we go to where they live, 804 Arthur House. Arriving at Arthur House, it was finally time to confront our murderer. They had done enough damage to this city, and we were going to stop them. I broke into their apartment and began sleuthing around, searching for clues of where they might be, when I saw them, sitting there on their bed. At this point, I used my secret weapon that I had bought prior to coming here, the incapacitation grenade. The grenade did almost as much damage to me as it did to the murderer, but thankfully I was able to get into the room and cuff them up, so that their reign of terror would finally be over. Or at least that would have been the case if this person was actually the murderer. You see, the person that we had just obliterated with an incapacitation grenade was, in fact, not the murderer, but the murderer's partner. After doing a little bit of investigation around the apartment, I found out that our murderer's workplace was right across the street from the town hall, and they were at work right now. All that was left to do now is to wait outside the workplace and catch our murderer red-handed. Now granted, cuffing our murderer in the middle of the town hall with no context for anybody else around was probably not the smartest decision. However, it didn't matter, because the first Elden Lord had been defeated, and we had saved the city of Douglas from a truly ruthless murderer.